I had to do typing work and stuff like that. And that's where I met Elizabeth Liedtke. She was about 2 years older than I was, and she always talked about going somewhere where she could learn English. And we talked about going to England maybe, but it was hard to go to England and get a permit to work. You could go there as a tourist, but you couldn't work. So that was out. So finally, somebody steered us to go to the German consulate because we both were born in Germany, so we were Germans. And so we went there, and they told us we could go to America. There was no trouble, and you always would get you could always work. You wouldn't have to have a special permit. You could always work. So we kind of thought about that and made all kinds of plans, of course, without telling our folks anything about it. But her father and mother had been divorced, so she was living with an aunt in Switzerland, in Zurich. And of course, she didn't have to really get permission from anybody. She could go what she wanted to do. So for her, it was a little easier. And she had a cousin in America, and she was going to write to him so maybe he could help us a little if we could go. Well, I went home and told my folks about it because there was a big, big fuss about it. My father, no, absolutely not. My mother, well, maybe. But after a couple of weeks, I kind of convinced them that we could go. In the meantime, we'd already gone to a travel agency and kind of made arrangements how to go and where to go. But then my parents gave permission, and so we made a definite date, and we went in June, in May 18th, I think, is when we left home. And we went to Paris first, and then to Cherbourg, and the ship sailed on the 19th of May or something like that. And it was a 5-day trip across on the Leviathan, because that was a real big ship. It was the fastest ship at the time. Most of them took 8 or 10 days, but the Leviathan only took 5 days. Then we left Cherbourg. We went on the train on the ship, and where did we? I don't remember where's the port where we went. Can't remember. Cherbourg. Anyways, well, cause the ship was just absolutely beautiful. You can't imagine anything like that. It's a huge ship, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. And we just thought that was heavenly.
Did you go first class?
No, we went second class. And, well, my father didn't want us to go third class because you have to go to Ellis Island if you go third class, and my father didn't want that. And they had told him that if I went second class, we wouldn't have any problems getting off the ship. And so we had a really wonderful trip. The weather was great, and we explored the ship and everything. And then this very first night, for dinner, the Maitre D came to us and told us that he was supposed to be in charge of us. And the reason was that he had been a butler for a family who lived in New Jersey before the war. And they had written to him because they had gotten word from my friend that we were coming, and they said they would welcome us in the United States, and he should see to it that we each got a little Swiss flag, and so they would recognize us when we came off board. So he arranged for us to sit with different people for dinner, and that we went to the entertainment at night, and it was just really very good during the daytime. But then at night we went back to our cabins. We cried half the night for being so homesick. But here we were, we had to go. We couldn't turn back at least until we got to New York. But my father had always said that no matter what happened, I could just turn right around and come back, and it would be perfectly all right. So we thought, well, if it gets too bad, we can always go home. But we didn't.